We got some NFL scouts meeting, not scouts, prospects meeting with the Dolphins, and a little bit of an update on who Tua Tagovailoa is going to be working with this offseason. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, we got a little bit of a update. Tua Tagovailoa, we all know, has been now working or is going to be working with a quarterback coach. So we got a little bit of an update on that. And teams are now permitted to allow, I think, up to 30 prospects to come and visit with them. So we're going to get into a little bit of details on those two things. But before that, got to keep the lights on, but also got to shout out a very good sponsor, and that is BetUS. Go check them out. Click the link in the description, use the promo code JOIN125, and you get 3 first deposits, 125%. But what am I rambling on about? Let them explain it to you.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
Super simple, easy to use. Here's their website. They got different stuff on top, from casinos, race booking. They got all the sports you can think of. Baseball just started. You got baseball here. But being that we're talking draft, they got draft here. Click, select all, go in, display selected. You see all the different draft bets that you can make. From first non-quarterback selected to first quarterback selected. Very simple, very easy. All you do is click and you make your bet. Go check them out. BetUS. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. 24/7 customer service, 24-hour payout. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. So first and foremost, we're going to talk a little bit about the Dolphins quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. So if you guys know, Tua has hired a quarterback coach, and that quarterback coach is 3D QB, which essentially is John Beck, Adam DeBow, and Tom House. Now, these guys have worked with some very good quarterbacks, from Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, CJ Stroud, and more. So Tua is taking this incredibly serious, which I'm glad he is, because it's getting to the point that let's go. You guys know how I feel about Tua. Let's go. Tua has been traveling back and forth to South Carolina, where 3D QB is located, while also doing speed and agility training with Perform. You know who Perform is, Nick Hicks, in South Florida, up to 5 hours a day. So this man is taking it seriously. He is doing his due diligence to get better. Now, I have a ton of content planned for Tua, and not just Tua, but the rest of the team. But that's all going to come after the draft, when I'm going to start looking at the team, how we look after the draft, areas of need still, a lot of stuff. Like I told you guys, and I tell you guys constantly, I do not take off. 24/7, 365. I do 360s. That's all I do. I am covering the Dolphins. I love this. I love you guys, so it makes me happy to do it. So let's talk about the 3 non-local prospects, 30, but 3 have met non-local prospects that the Dolphins have met with. Now, they are permitted, NFL teams are permitted to meet with 30 non-local prospects. So the Dolphins can meet with the Miami Hurricanes players, this, and that. Like, that's not a problem. And like the Texans can meet with Texas players, and, but 30 non-local, meaning essentially you fly them in, you give them a physical, you kind of meet with the coaches, you kind of look at the facility. Hey, this is what you could be doing. If we do draft you, this is nice and everything. Kind of pick their brain and see where they're at, how they're doing with all that stuff. They don't usually announce it. So it's not, from what Barry Jackson is telling us, it's not like ESPN, or it's not like free agency where so-and-so is going to visit so-and-so for whatever reason. That's not how this works. sometimes the sources release the information, and that also could be to either up their draft stock. So like some of the names I got on here, might be released and people are like, ooh, I'm interested in him. Maybe we might have to take him sooner, or maybe we have to trade in front of so-and-so. There's a lot of, stuff going on behind the scenes that can go into this stuff. The draft is kind of like free agency, because in free agency, these agents will kind of release things like, oh, so this team is interested in my agent, or someone is willing to offer my agent $35 million a year or $15 million a year so they can get a little bit more from the team. A lot of that pandering is going on, and especially in the draft, especially from teams in the draft. Hey, we're really interested in so-and-so, to try to get someone to trade up or to try to scare another team into thinking things. It's a lot of stuff that's going on for the next 23 days. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But the three players that were invited, supposedly, per sources from Barry Jackson: Eric All, tight end out of Iowa; Christian Boyd, defensive tackle out of Northern Iowa; and I think it was reported yesterday or the day before that, Quantez Stiggers, cornerback from Canadian Football League, from the Argonauts, which is interesting. He's one of a few Canadian football players that were able to be drafted. I think there was two recently, like 2019 and a year before that, which is very interesting. Now, from Eric All, he is 6'4", 252. This is a quote from Louis Riddick. He says, if the medical, his knee rehabbing, and his past issues are behind him, he's a starting caliber tight end in the league that will be a problem as a route runner and a very solid, versatile run blocker. The tape is that good. So the Dolphins are bringing him in. He'll probably be like a guy they might be looking at in the 5th round, being that he is dealing with that knee injury and he is rehabbing. He suffered an ACL tear in October and had a season-ending back injury in 2022 after just 3 games. When healthy, he's solid speed to run field stretching routes. He has foot agility to snap off short area routes with adequate quickness. The hands are inconsistent, and he needs to push back against handsy coverage to create routes. So this guy is definitely looks like to be like a 5th, 6th rounder. Zerline continues saying his run blocking needs to be better, but there's enough in place to envision him playing with his hands down or as an H-back, kind of like Charles Clay-ish. If he checks out medically, he has enough talent to compete for a spot as a 3rd tight end on a roster. So yeah, you're looking at like a 5th round pick there. That's probably why they're bringing him in. Where you're at and where you rehab, where you at with your knee, how are you feeling mentally? Are you ready to do this? Are you ready to do that? So that's why they're probably bringing him in. Christian Boyd, defensive tackle out of Northern Iowa, 6'2", 320 pounds. US Wire said a powerful athlete with explosive, helps create coverage and run defense and setting up pass rush moves. Interesting. Big boy. Again, we need defensive tackle help. So these are guys that are probably, like, we don't have a 3rd and a 4th yet. We could trade back and possibly get a 4th, if anything. But these are probably mid to late round guys that they're bringing in for discussion. And then Quantez Stiggers, quarterback from the Canadian Football League. He ran a 4.45 40. He had a 36.5-inch vert, a 10.8 broad jump. He had 5 interceptions with the Argonauts. He's 5'11", 203 pounds. He won the Canadian Most Athletic Rookie. Already met with the Lions and the Texans, and will meet with the Jets and the Bengals. So again, he is one of the few that have played in the Canadian Football League and have been drafted. I'll give you the names of the others when I find it. But I find it interesting, the Dolphins kind of do that due diligence. Oh, here it is. Eric Swan in 1991 and wide receiver Martez Barringer in 2016. The Dolphins found Cameron Wake. Cameron Wake got drafted by the Giants. He didn't make it, went to the Canadian Football League, and we got Cameron Wake. And look how that all panned out. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out. Comment below. What's your thoughts on who Tua, the quarterbacks that Tua is working with, not are working with? Supposedly the guy he's going to be working closely with is John Beck, but the fact that he went to John Beck, Adam DeBow, and Tom House. Now, Tom House is a name I've heard a lot, and he is a very, very good quarterback coach, and he's a guy that helped, like, again, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, you know, Super Bowl. So, like, I'm very excited to see how these coaches are going to transform what Tua can do, because Tua is limited to a certain extent with his arm strength. Again, he doesn't have Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes' arm strength, but he does have arm strength to make the throws. We've seen it. But to me, a lot of times when he throws ducks is because of his mechanics, is because of his foot placement, or because of throwing off his back foot, all that stuff. So I'm very interested to see what these guys at 3D QB are going to do to improve his game with his follow-through throws and all that stuff. This is the next step he needs to take. Because if he can stop making those throws where, you know, oh, he shouldn't have done that, or maybe he should have looked off here, or maybe this is all stuff that they're going to help teach him. It's going to be very interesting to see him take the next step. And then all of a sudden, we start winning playoff games. People are going to start getting very quiet about doubting Tua Tagovailoa. This is the next step I need to see. But like I said, I'm going to make a full video about Tua. We're going to break down the film of Tua. I always do this every offseason with him. I'm going to do it with all the quarterbacks if Tua's not here in, say, 2-3 years. So comment below on that. What do you think of the guys brought in? All that good stuff. But other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing tackles, prospects tackles. And it's hard because some of the tackles, like Barton, should be a guard. So I'm like, do I put Barton at tackle or do I put him at guard? It's going to be interesting. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy. Defense up.